Hello, watching VNA News Bulletin. I'm Ngọc from Hanoi and nothing lies as usual.
Vietnam Cooperatives Alliance holds 5th Congress. World Bank forecasts Vietnam's economy will grow 6% this year. Colombia ranked 4th in top 10 Asian destinations.
The 5th National Congress of the Vietnam Cooperatives Alliance opened in Hanoi on July 19th. We have more in the following report. The event drew 546 delegates, representing more than 20,000 cooperatives, 15,000 cooperation groups, and 43 cooperative associations nationwide. The Congress reviewed the licensing operations for the 2010 to 2015 tenure. It also laid out orientation and tasks for the 2016 to 2020 to improve its activities to serve the country's socio-economic development. In the period's tenure, the cooperative sector posted the average growth of 3.3 to 3.5%. As many as 5,000 new cooperatives were established. In the next tenure, the Alliance will focus on developing new-style cooperatives in parallel with developing goods value chains and boosting poverty reduction and agricultural restructure. Vietnamese Vice President Đặng Thị Ngọc Thịnh delivered a speech at a high-level segment of the United Nations Economic and Social Council in New York on July 18th, emphasizing the need for the paradigm shift in development thinking.
In her speech, Vice President Thịnh affirmed the 3 dimensions of sustainable development, namely economic, social, and environmental, are interlinked and interdependent, and that the sustainable development goals can only be achieved successfully in an environment of peace and security on the basis of respect for international law. She held the theme, "No One Left Behind," saying it reflects the resolve of the international community in turning global commitments into actions to achieve concrete outcomes. Thịnh noted that, as a war-devastated country that was faced with the risk of being left behind, Vietnam has done its utmost to find a way to move forward. The Vice President affirmed Vietnam will contribute actively to the work of United Nations Economic and Social Council, first and foremost, by implementing the 2030 agenda with the country's highest political commitments. The same day, Vice President Thịnh, together with the Norwegian Prime Minister, the President of the UN General Assembly, the UN Vice General Secretary, and New York authorities, attended an exhibition on the environment. The Vice President called on nations, the United Nations, international organizations, and all people to respect and protect the nature. She also briefed participants about heavy impacts caused by climate change and natural disasters to Vietnam. On the sidelines of the meeting, Vice President Thịnh met with officials of the UN Economic and Social Commission for Asia-Pacific, during which they discussed building a roadmap implementing the 2030 agenda within the ESCAP framework.
Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico met with Chairman of the Da Nang City People's Committee Huỳnh Đức Thơ on July 19th as part of his official visit to Vietnam.
The Slovak Prime Minister told his host the central city of Da Nang, with long beautiful beaches and developed tourism infrastructure, is really a wonderful tourist city. Prime Minister Robert Fico held great achievements recorded by Vietnam and Da Nang in particular over the past time, affirming his support for cooperation between the Vietnamese city and Slovakia. The host briefed the guest on the city's socio-economic development in recent times, highlighting its stable economic growth. Tourism services are a key economic sector of the city, Thơ noted, adding that the local authorities also attach importance to developing the manufacturing industry and information technology. According to the city leader, Da Nang led the country in the Provincial Competitiveness Index between 2008 and 2010, and again from 2013 to 2015, and the city is striving to become an environmentally friendly city, and a city worth living in by 2020. He said he hopes the Slovak government will assist Vietnamese travel agencies in promoting tourism in the country, including Da Nang's tourism strengths.
Vietnam is expected to see an economic growth of around 6% this year. The forecast was issued by the World Bank in Hanoi on July 19th. According to the World Bank's update on Vietnam's recent economic developments, the country's economic growth slowed down in the first half of the year following a strong growth in 2015. The country is expected to post a 5.5% GDP growth in the first half of the year against 6.3% of the same period last year, the bank said, citing the impact of severe droughts and saline intrusion on agriculture and slower industrial production. The report added the credit growth was at a high rate, up 18% compared to the same period last year. Meanwhile, trade deficit was equivalent to 6.5% of the GDP by the end of 2015, and the country's public debt accounted for 62.2% of GDP. The bank suggested Vietnam reform the state sector and facilitate the private sector. Earlier, the World Bank forecast an economic growth of 6.2% for Vietnam in 2016. The prices of green Robusta coffee beans in the Central Highlands have been on the rise amidst concern of the prolonged drought's impact on coffee harvests in Vietnam and India. More in the following report. According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, the prices of green Robusta coffee beans rose from 37.6 to 38.3 million dong, from 1,671 to 1,702 US$ per ton this week. The prices at one time reached 38.9 million, equivalent to 1,729 US$ per ton in Dak Lak province, the highest since June 2015. Meanwhile, the freight onboard price of Robusta coffee in Ho Chi Minh City gained 24 US dollars to 1,756 US$ per ton. The rising trend was buoyed by the local price hike last week due to concerns of the prolonged drought's impact on coffee harvest in Vietnam and India, two of the world's top Robusta coffee producers. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development said coffee exports of Vietnam, the world's largest Robusta coffee exporter, reached an estimated 1.32 million tons in the first 9 months of the 2015 to 2016 crop year ending September, up 32% from the year earlier. Vietnamese people bought more than 24,400 cars in June, an increase of 31% compared with the same period last year. The figures were released by the Vietnam Automobile Manufacturers Association. Passenger cars, the market leaders with sales of 12,916 units, following by commercial cars with 10,325 units and special purpose vehicles with 1,180 units. In the first half of this year, nearly 126,800 cars were sold, a 31% year-on-year increase. On average, about 700 cars were bought each day. Shanghai Automobile Stock Company, Taco for short, continued to monopolize the market last month, with sales of 9,246 units, claiming 42.3% of the market share. Taco sales were more than double of Toyota Motor Vietnam, which ranked second with sales of 3,979 units, claiming 18.2% of the market share. An exhibition affirming Vietnam's sovereignty over Trường Sa, known as Bradley and Hoàng Sa Paracel archipelagos, opened in the southern province of Dong Nai on July 19th. The exhibition introduces nearly 100 maps, materials, and images collected from various sources that have been published by researchers and local and international scholars. All materials, maps, and images confirm Vietnam's sovereignty of the two archipelagos. It also features copies of documents issued by the Socialist Republic of Vietnam from 1975, and some materials and publications compiled and published by Western countries from the 18th to 19th century, as well as some documented images on the exercise and partition of Vietnam's sovereignty over the two archipelagos from 1930. The exhibition also displays sets of stamps, documented images and research works by Vietnamese and foreign scholars. The exhibition is one of the important public communication campaigns to raise awareness, unity, the sense of responsibility of people, including overseas Vietnamese, particularly the young generation, in protecting and affirming Vietnam's sovereignty over Trường Sa and Hoàng Sa. It takes place until July 23rd, after which all maps and materials will be handed over to Dong Nai province. Con Đảo Island of the southern province of Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu has been ranked 4th in the top 10 places to travel in Asia in 2016 by Lonely Planet magazine. Now let's take a look.
Lonely Planet magazine said, "We import flight connections from Ho Chi Minh City. The archipelago has become an ideal place to feast on fresh seafood, explore a perfect beach, and revel in a castaway vibe." It takes about 45 minutes for a flight from the southern metropolis to Con Đảo Islands, long well known for its charming beaches and stunning landscape. The island is also famous for the heroic feat of arms of the nation and served as a prison island for political prisoners during the French colonial era. Japan's Hokkaido ranks number 1 on the list for its skiing resorts and beautiful landscapes. Other destinations include China's Shanghai, the Republic of Korea Jeju, China's Taiwan Taichung, Malaysia's Ipoh, and India's Meghalaya.
A Vietnam-Colombia music exchange took place in Hanoi on July 18th with the participation of well-known Colombian accordion player Alvaro Meza and the Vallenato Band. The event was co-organized by the Vietnam Union of Friendship Organizations and the Colombian Embassy in Vietnam. Colombian chapter affairs Camila Munoz Ucro said, "The exchange is part of activities to promote the land of Colombia abroad, aiming to have Vietnamese people get insight into Colombian culture and music, thus further boosting relations between two nations." At the exchange, young artists from the traditional instrument faculty of the Vietnam National Academy of Music performed pieces of music by monochord, zither, and bamboo flute. In Wai, the band and Alvaro Meza brought audiences with folk rims of vallenato, a popular folk music of Colombia. Vallenato is one of key pillars forming the cultural character of Colombia's Caribbean region. It tells stories in remote villages, love and adventures. The music is performed along with the Europe's guitar and accordion, casa drum from Africa, and guacharaca, a percussion instrument of Colombian natives. Alvaro Meza won the championship for amateur accordion players in Vallenato festivals in 1981 and 1991. He was nominated as the King of Vallenato Kings in 2001. And that has wrapped up our news bulletin. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye for now.